it do, fam? We're back at y'all with a Home Abroad podcast.
Welcome back.
Right on. Yeah. So we really, by the way, we really appreciate y'all feedback in the comments. A lot of y'all been commenting and telling us how we doing. So we really appreciate that. So yeah, keep commenting. Tell us what you guys want to see us talk about.
Yeah.
Thank
you to the people who are subscribing too.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody subscribing, supporting
comments.
us. Y'all the real ones. So we appreciate y'all. We don't take that for granted. So
yeah,
let's walk this journey together.
Yes,
yep.
Sir.
So today we got another topic, y'all. I know a lot of y'all probably curious about what it is to live in the U.S. or what it's like. Yeah. So we wanted to give y'all like a glimpse of maybe what you might expect. Let's say some people have aspirations to come here, right?
Right.
Because I know a lot of people want to come to this place and lead the lives a lot of people talk about. So we wanted to talk about kind of the ins and outs of stuff that you might not typically hear from a lot of people. Since we've gotten a little experience over here, we can give some insight on what it really is. Today we can talk about a lot of stuff when it comes to that, like what it is to be in the U.S.
We're gonna give you the real knit and gritty of what it really takes.
We're gonna go in
to survive.
Yeah, but I think we will focus today maybe more on the like finances,
which is a huge part.
Yeah, which is a very, very huge. Obviously, you trying to make some money. I know I'm trying to make some money.
That's the only reason we cut.
So that's why we're here. By the way, matter of fact, somebody in the comments said I'm not letting this boy talk. Y'all seen this boy last time? He had where's your drink? You can't let this boy talk too long. You can't let this boy talk too long. He had a little drink last time. I don't know what he had in that drink over there. So you can't let this boy talk too long.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Nah, man. If I let you finish, we ain't gonna have this podcast for too long. You cannot let this man complete his thoughts. Cause y'all be surprised when he finna spit out this mouth. I'm actually surprised. What you drink? Maybe today you gonna be out.
Today, I'm conservative.
You not staying hydrated?
I actually had a glass of water before this.
Oh, is that what they call it? Water?
Good.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough.
I'm good to go.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's do a hypothetical, right?
Uh-huh.
Let's say, you just earned the opportunity to come to the U.S. Could be in many ways.
Yeah.
But it could be through an invitation or different ways, or you won the green card lottery. So there's a variety of ways people get here. But
how we came here is through green card system, right?
Yeah.
Just to give
we're
people
very
background
fortunate to have that opportunity. So not a lot of people get that opportunity, but we're very thankful.
We're very fortunate.
Yeah, I totally agree, because that changes the ball game a lot when you come here. Having the proper credentials, it really goes a long way. But yeah, so we're gonna focus on a little more on the side. So like if you come here as a student, your case might be a little different. There's certain restrictions they put on, like how much you can work, or the different things you can do. So we're gonna talk on what it would be like a typical person, and disregarding like this if you're a student or whatever. So once you get your feet planted here. Right. So we're talking, you're here, you getting acquainted with the place, you're getting to know people, you're getting to see the place. And let's say maybe a couple months in, maybe 3-6 months in, it might take you actually a while to land a job.
Yeah.
Even an entry level job, it does take a little bit of time, and it also depends on the people that host you, right?
Oh yeah, that is a huge factor. So it might take a while if you're not with the right people.
Right.
Or those people that host you don't give you the direction in the right place. But regarding where you're hosted, you still have to go through the process of which we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about finances. Yeah. So let's say you spend maybe like 5 months.
Yeah, let's say you're 6 months in, hypothetically.
Right.
And to that point, whoever hosts you in the U.S. plays a very key role in how you turn out, or your maybe first couple of years turn out. because that person can show you ins and outs of the system in terms of what the documentation you need to get. We've heard stories of people who come here and 2-3 years in, they've literally never had an opportunity to even get out, do a lot of stuff because you're so scared. It can be an intimidating place, I'll tell you that. So whoever hosts you plays a key role, and I don't know if you can probably attest to that.
I think I do agree, and even then, I think the most important part is you have to go out and meet new people and meet like other people that have different perspectives. Because once you just follow one person, that whoever hosted you, you're gonna learn what they know and what they want you to know. But you got to talk to other people, connect with people, talk with people, get different ideas of how they got through their, you know, their process, right?
Yeah. And that's a very important step. But let's say you've gotten here, you're 6 months in, and you just landed your first job. So you, in terms of income, because we're talking about money here, so you know, so you're probably looking at for an entry level job, you're maybe looking at maybe a $10 to $15 an hour, right?
Yeah,
that's typically because you guys probably heard like right now they're in Congress trying to raise the minimum wage. I believe the federal minimum wage is actually $7.25, which is extremely low.
Yeah.
That's super low. I don't even think you can survive making $7.25. But likely...
but that's also due to we have different economies, right?
Right. Different states are different economies. And also that's also another thing. Where you land in the states also varies a lot. There's some states that are very friendly to like people who immigrated from other places, and some are not. We happen to be in one of the states that's fairly friendly to people who immigrate.
Yeah.
But let's say you land a job. We're gonna be real generous this time, and let's say you may be making $15 an hour, right?
Yeah.
And working 40 hours a week. Especially with COVID, a lot of people work overtime here, but with COVID, a lot of people's hours got cut down, and you didn't have that opportunity to work overtime.
They're just working their full time, 40 hours,
right.
No extra time.
Yeah, so let's be generous. Let's say you real qualified. You made an impression. They offered you $15 an hour, so you're probably looking at $2,400 a month, right?
Yeah.
That's working 40 hours a week. Granted, that's working 40 hours a week. So, man,
which may sound a lot.
Sounds like a lot. And that's also the other thing the psychological thing. You have to shift your mindset from, especially if you're from like Kenya or whatever. Thinking in terms of like Kenyan shillings. Because when we mention 2,400, that's 240K Kenyan money. But you'll start to realize that's not really a lot of money. Right? It sounds like a lot, but it's not. So the first thing, when you make money, the government right there. So maybe
So the first time you make money, the government's gonna take their share, and regardless of what you do, they'll have to take their share before your check comes in. It's cut. So let's say you're making $2,400.
Yeah.
And I guess you'll take home about $1,900, right?
Yeah, because the reason it's $1,900 is because you got taxes, you got stuff called Medicaid and Social Security. Those are all deductions that the government takes away from your paycheck to fund certain programs. Right. So yeah, that sounds like a lot, from $2,400 to $1,900. So you're looking at like a good $500 just right off the bat.
And it's required to have Medicare, right?
Yeah, like that stuff. It's stuff you cannot escape. It's like you got to pay the dues to the government. So that's the one thing you got to remember. And there's no way around it. So you're looking at probably $500 off the top. So take home, you're taking home about $1,900.
You're making $2,400, but you're really taking home $1,900.
Yeah. So you're at $1,900. You haven't even done anything already, right?
Right.
And then let's talk about housing.
Housing, right.
Housing is very, very expensive, especially where we're in Washington, and lifestyle, like the standard of living here have gone up tremendously, like lately, and it's pretty much across the board. But let's say you're 6 months in, you want to live on your own, you've gotten a little crib, right? So you got a new job, so you want to stay on your own, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you want to do maybe a studio or 1 bedroom. You're probably looking at $8,000 $800 to $1,000. Honestly, 800 is pretty generous. In the area we live, it might be different in some states, but it's not gonna be very, very much.
Yeah, like we said, depending on where you land or where you settle.
Yeah.
Like I know, like the South states, like the Florida, the Alabama, the Louisiana. The rent price is a lot lower, but it's based on their economy. The economy is lower than all the you know.
Yeah, so getting that $15 an hour job for starting might not be possible in those kind of states, right?
But it goes to the same deal. They go based on the economy. So even if you're making 15 here and making
so when we say like let's say $1,000 for a 1 bedroom, that's not a lot. And comparatively, if you're making less money, you'll probably be paying less in rent in another state. But 1,000 is pretty fair, I would say. So you had 1,900 left, so you're putting in a grand in shelter, right? That's already 1,000 is gone. You left with 900.
Yep.
900. Yep. And you haven't done nothing. That's the reality of America. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand this before they get here, or like you'll have some relatives that come over here and you don't understand how come they don't spend money or they look like they live in a good life. But this is a system created on borrowing. Then you'll see why. All right.
Because it makes perfect sense, right?
So we're at 900.
Right.
Tell them what else you got to take care of.
So you got utilities.
Yeah, right? You got your utilities.
So you got to pay water.
Yep.
Garbage.
Yep. Yeah, believe it. You pay for garbage. I don't know how it is wherever you are, but yeah, here you actually do pay for taking away your trash.
Right.
The city will charge you for taking that away.
And then there's electricity.
Right.
And then you have.
Let's call internet a utility, honestly, because here you almost honestly
you need the
internet. Yeah, to like, and that's usually like a standard fee a month. So we'll give those things. So water, electricity, garbage, and internet. We'll give that $50 a month, right? So that's $200.
Oh, 50 each. Okay,
yeah.
50
so that's $200 a month. You remember we were at what?
We're at 900.
900.
So
you take away 200.
700.
Right. So you're at 700. Remember, this is just you taking care of your shelter and just basic utilities, right?
Right.
And then
right, you left with 700, right?
Right. You left with 700.
Have you even bought food? No.
You haven't ate, right?
And then,
that's the other thing.
You need that to survive.
You gotta eat.
You need some food.
You gotta eat.
Right?
Hey, what you gonna do? You gotta eat.
Like I said, it seems like a lot of money, but once you do the budget, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, it start calm down real quick. And food is actually probably one of your largest expenses. It's a large expense, and like I now understand what when we were younger and you go out and mom was like, you want to buy food out? She's like, we got food home. I understand why. Or
you go to the grocery store and you want to get that candy bar or candy
or something.
Like, are you crazy?
Like a little snack.
Out of your mind.
But yeah, food will run you up. You're probably looking at $150 to $200 on food, honestly.
Yeah, and even if you don't eat that much.
Yeah, even if you don't eat a lot,
you
like
spend
even the little essentials at home just add up pretty quick, right? Yeah. So maybe let's give it maybe $150 a month on food. And that's
if you're
honestly,
one person, right?
Yeah, honestly, that's pretty fair. I'd say maybe higher, but let's give it $150.
Let's say you go out a little bit, or you go.
Yeah, or you buy food.
You're gonna spend more food. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were at 700, so we're at what, 550, right? 550, and then you gotta call back home. You gotta talk to your family. So that's
in America.
You gotta talk back home. You gotta tell them how much money you make.
Collecting money down there in America.
So you need to pay for that phone. So typically here, the way it works, you get like a plan, and pretty much probably the most affordable plan or the most reasonable one is the one you get unlimited, like internet on your phone, and also
texting.
Yeah, texting and calling. Typically, you're looking at about $50 a month, right?
50. Yep.
So we were at 550. Now we're at 500, down to 500. You're just taking care of the essentials here, right? And then let's talk about that's the other thing, transportation.
Yeah, that's here. I mean, the way the system works here, if you don't have a car, your life is going to be very inefficient. Unless you're in a place where the bus system is very efficient. Like if you're in Seattle, the bus system is very efficient. But once you get out of Seattle, which is like downtown, the city, if you get out of it, the bus system is not efficient at all.
Right, and the big cities where like the transit system is big is where it's most expensive. So you probably don't want to live in like the big cities, which is where public transportation is most effective, right? So you're most likely going to be living outside the city where the transportation is not as reliable.
You see how we were saying that 1,000? If you're living in Seattle, that 1,000 goes into it's 2,000.
2,500 easily. 2,500 easily for a studio sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
So you gotta pick and choose your spots, but that's the thing. If so, the best means of transportation here, you gotta have a car. Yeah. Because it's convenient. You can move around as easily, and you don't have to ask somebody or go on the bus waiting for a bus.
And Uber is like there's Uber and Lyft, I'm sure, but they're very expensive. You're talking about maybe like maybe a 20-mile ride, especially if there's traffic. You're looking at like a good $40 or $50. Right. That's a lot one way.
And remember, your budget is that 500.
Yeah, that's 500.
You broke it down to 500, right?
Yeah. So you're if you're lucky enough to have a car by your 6-month mark, which might honestly not be the case. But let's say you have saved up maybe $2,000 or $3,000, which is actually enough to get a decent car. To start up. It might break down on you, but that's probably a fair thing to say. Let's assume you've already had the car. There's insurance. Insurance is ridiculously expensive here in the U.S.
But hold on. Let's assume the other side of buying a car. You could lease a car, right?
Yeah, you could also lease a car, which I would highly not recommend to anybody. Yeah. I say buy a $2,000, $3,000 car, but most people that come here will probably lease a car, because here you can walk up to a dealership and get a $10,000 car with literally no down payment.
But let's break it down. It makes sense if you have like a $500 budget to finance a car, right? Yeah, if you don't have that money up front, right?
But I'd say I would honestly say if you can, don't do, because at that point you can.
But it's not possible for most people if you.
But I think it's very reasonable for someone to save $2,000. It's very reasonable and then buy a car. Leasing a car in your first car.
It won't matter time. What are you talking about?
I would say use Uber, use public transportation, even if it takes you 3-4 hours to get to where you're getting. But get that $2,000 because you don't have credit right now. Remember that. Nobody's going to sell your car without credit.
That is true.
Yeah, so you're probably going to have to buy your car cash. I'd say probably a $2,000-$3,000 car. But insurance is a really huge thing. You can't drive around here without insurance, right?
Right.
And insurance is honestly pretty pricey. And we're going to be real generous here and say maybe insurance is $100 a month. That's very, very low, to be honest. So we were at $500. Now you're down to $400 with the car insurance, right? And then remember, you're using this car, you got to pay for gas.
Yep. Have you seen them gas prices?
Yeah, have you seen them gas prices?
No.
Yeah, they're going up every day.
Even in Kenya, they're shooting up. I've seen that.
So you got to pay for gas. You're probably looking at $100 a month. Seriously.
$100 a month.
Yeah, because think about it. Like your car, you'll probably fill it up every week, right? Every week. Yeah, every exactly. Week, like $25 every fill up. So that's
more like 27 now, but yeah.
That's $2 difference. So $25 a week. That's $100 a month.
You're right. Yeah.
So you're down to $300, right? And then so once you're to that $300, there's like those little other expenses that you might not expect. This is given. Granted, like your car doesn't break down, or sometimes.
But you forgot. There's entertainment.
Right.
So if you want to pay for TV or cable, that'll be around $40, right?
Yeah,
40 to 50.
40 to $50.
And then if you want to pay for Netflix, because I know a lot of people enjoy Netflix, that's around what?
About another
$15, $12.
$10. Let's give it $10.
$10.
Yeah.
Let's say what other entertainment.
But at this point, you're pretty new. You're not really looking for a lot of entertainment. That's pretty generous, to be honest.
But still, you want that, right?
You might want it, but it might not be something you can afford at this point. If you only got $250 left in your bank, it might be something you're willing to trade off, right? So you're probably looking right now at $250 left in your account. And we're not we haven't talked about like those little expenses that just happen to come up, like you gotta go grab, some clothes if you got some, or like little expenses like that. So you kind of see like it might sound like 2,400 was a lot of money, but at the end of it, you're pretty much left with like $250, and that's if nothing goes wrong in your life, and that's if you're not paying for like a lease for a car, right?
Let's say even if you're taking care of people back home.
Right. Now, if you got you had came and you had some loans to take care of back home,
or even
you got to support your parents.
Maybe
it's not a lot of money.
Right.
So you kind of start to see like the dynamics here, and there's a lot of assumptions we made in this whole scenario, but it kind of gives you an idea of what you might expect, right?
Yeah, the thing is not to discourage you to come here. It's to give you the reality of things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To understand like how the system works and like what you would need and how it would be, and just getting your expectations where they need to be, right?
Right.
But
yeah, absolutely. So like being realistic with these things. There's no way you're gonna come here your first year. You're gonna think, oh man, I'm gonna buy some properties back home, like build some stuff. That's not gonna happen. There's no way that's happening maybe in the first or second year or even third year. It might take even longer than that. As you can see, this is when we're talking about things going perfectly. There's so many things that can go wrong or not go your way, and they all require money. Your car might break down. Right. And car expenses here are ridiculous. Like even like basic stuff like getting haircuts. Haircuts are like $25, right? $25, $30.
It used to be $10.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. That's like that stuff adds up over time. So like this is not to discourage anybody. And then like also the other stuff that we didn't talk about, like
and in this we're talking about somebody who's single.
Right.
No family, you're just here as a single person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine if you put in some kids in there, or you have another spouse. But if you have another spouse, it's easier. But just imagine if you're single and you had a kid or two.
Yeah.
That makes it that much more harder.
Right. So like even when if you got a relative that lives here or something, and they're not able to like support as much as you would think they would, or you think they appear to be living a good life, they might not be. Right, but that's just a reality of here. But
yeah, so some people, the best thing people do is you have roommates. That will reduce your rent price. We're at 1,000, right? So if let's say you roommate with like 3 people, now it's 400. Now you have like 600 to work with on top of.
But remember, if you're rooming with 3 people, you're probably getting some like not a studio, obviously. So it's
going to be a bedroom, and you're going to share the kitchen and the bathroom.
It's going to be more expensive than just that 1,000. You're probably looking at best, if you're rooming with people, you're probably looking at maybe $500, $600 a month if you're rooming with people. That's probably the best you can pay when you're rooming with people, to be honest, because there's no way you're finding a 2-bedroom house for $1,000. It's going to be a good $1,500 or $2,000.
Right, no, that was a rough estimate, but I'm just saying that's some people do to
right.
To reduce the price of rent, but
yeah, basically what we were trying to send across, you can kind of see how quickly money can go away. But over time, once you get your stuff down, you start getting better job opportunities, things start to change over time. But it can be very difficult at the beginning.
Those first few years or a couple months, I don't know how I mean.
I wouldn't say months. I would definitely say at least
a year to
24 months is gonna be pretty rough.
Yeah.
Right, and that's granted you have a good support system,
mm-hmm.
and then you got to go through all that other stuff. Like there's a culture shock, right? You will get a culture shock. It's different. It's very, very different. It's not what you see on the TVs, and I can't. It's not something that you can explain to someone or tell them, like try to explain the reality of here, but it's not what it is on television, right? It's very different. and you'll see all kinds of people, very wealthy people and very not so wealthy people.
Right.
And things that will surprise you, and some that will just be, mesmerizing, right?
Yeah.
But generally, I'd say if you apply yourself, there's definitely that potential to do well. But the first few years might be tough.
Well, we did say even if you feel like that's not enough, you could get a second job.
Yeah.
You could work overtime.
Right.
But here we're just talking like a basic 40-hour week.
Right. And we said that also because a lot of people's hours have been cut down. Since COVID happened, a lot of jobs have gone away, and not a lot of places that were offering overtime are not doing that anymore, right? Because they just can't afford to have paying people that much money, or they need, obviously there's more workers than there is the demand for jobs.
But the thing is, when you come to America and you're a hard worker and you know what you're doing, you gotta go and you're focused. You will make it. You will make it through. It's better. You have opportunities to advance in life and go far. But we're just talking about those few first years of adoption. Those years will be tough, but once you persevere through those years, it gets a lot better and you'll start seeing a brighter future. It's just that initial first or 2 to 3 years, you're gonna struggle, and it's okay, and you're gonna make it.
Yeah. But also a huge caveat into this is we're assuming that you came in a fashion that's acceptable. Some people will face maybe bigger challenges if your means of coming was not as acceptable as other means. It might be a little more
that makes
challenging.
It's harder.
It's definitely harder, and but this is definitely not.
It's still doable though.
Yeah, it's very, very doable if you have a huge heart. But I would never tell anybody that has a well-paying job back home to maybe transition over here. You might have heard some people say that, and you never realize why, but you can kind of see why that is, right? Based on like the math we just did, because you're almost taking a step back once you. Right?
Yeah.
And it might sound like, you're making a lot of money, $240,000 a month. And you multiply that a year, it's over $1 million plus, right? Sounds like a lot, but here you also have to consider you're dealing with expenses here as well. So.
Yeah, it's like the more you make, the more you're gonna spend.
Yeah, but I think that concludes our insight on that subject. But hey, if you got more questions, let us know, or any other things you want to hear about. So hey, see y'all on the next one.